Larry Spahr, 181 McShane Road, Finleyville, PA. And I want to reference, I believe, the September the 28th meeting where you, Mrs. Dare, and Mr. Lawson were absent for a portion of that meeting. Is that correct? Was that the September the 28th meeting?
I'd have to look at the date of the meeting.
Yeah, Larry.
Was it, Michelle?
I believe it was.
Speak up, somebody.
I shut my microphone off. I believe it was.
Yes.
Okay, my concern is, right after that meeting, a gentleman approached me. And he asked me about the distribution of the votes on motions where we have a 5-member board. And I couldn't recall the exact language in the code off the top of my head. I said, let me take the code tonight, read it to make sure I know what I'm talking about, and I'll call you and give you an answer. Well, what I was concerned about, as well as he, where you have a 5-member board, as I said, the code requires for a vote to pass on a motion, a majority of the board. For a 5-member board, that's 3 members. And I had to check to see if the language wasn't a majority of those voting. It is a majority of the board.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah, I know it's correct. So where Ms. Dupree either voted no or not in uniformity with Mr. Barna or Mr. Traps, those two voting in uniformity on any motions that were passed that evening, they were enacted illegally. Now, if you're aware of that, Mrs. Dare, have you contacted the solicitor to get that situation cleared up and to check against the minutes? I believe were approved tonight for September the 28th. If there were any motions passed where Barna and Trax were the only 2 voters that evening who voted on a motion in residence, in uniformity, with Mrs. Dupree either voting no or abstaining. Any of those motions of that category were enacted illegally. If you approve those minutes tonight, where that type of an arrangement occurred, those motions have to be re-verified, reworked, whatever the legal remedy is to correct those motions, because none of them stand legally. Now, the only one that was interesting to listen where the payroll was being discussed and not being approved because Mrs. Dupree voted no. It's my understanding the one exception to that majority vote with the 5-member vote board is for payroll. One supervisor approving a payroll authorizes its payment.
Just to clarify with you, I keep shutting this off. So I did check those, and the Ms. Dare left when we were discussing Mr. Palermo's resignation. There were no votes after that other than the bill pay. Mr. Trax did state at the time that I believe it failed because there was only 2 votes, but Mr. Sweat said that it was fine and it passed with 2 votes, that it was merely the majority of the members at the time. But apparently his information was incorrect.
It's wrong.
But the payroll,
He was wrong.
apparently he was mistaken on that. The payroll wasn't on the agenda at all. There was no board action on the payroll. It wasn't on the agenda at all, but it did go out.
And-
The checks did not go out due to the fact that, Mr. Sweat was wrong on that information.
So just to clarify, immediately after that occurred, Mr. Sweat gave inaccurate advice. The next day, the staff went, double checked,